Well, what a game it was, and what a recap it was, first of all. Jason Rubin, top draw recap as I was watching the game in the middle of the desert.
Your pineapple outfit.
My pineapple outfit is being tucked away safely for the next adventure, which
this was the
won't
reaction.
be anytime soon.
This is the reaction. Instagram feed. Whoa!
What is that?
I really liked it.
Let me just say it was very well received.
I really liked the pineapple.
Very well received
I thought it was so funny.
at Coachella. But by the way, I didn't miss out on watching the Real Madrid-Barcelona game. I just was watching it whilst also still trying to get the ringing out of my ear from the night before. But what a game it was. Barcelona back in the title race is a clear point. I don't want to double down on anything that Jason already said very well in his recap. But yeah, it was a game that was... Barcelona looked hungry. Both teams were going at it. It was one of the most enjoyable El Clasicos I've seen in a long, long time. The last El Clasico this season, we said, was pretty enjoyable. Real Madrid emerged, I would say, the better, even though they got a draw. But in this game, Barcelona now, as you mentioned, Jason, they have a tiebreaker now over Real Madrid, putting them mentally in a position of power because they don't have Champions League football to distract them. Real Madrid now have that game in hand, so you would assume they would manage to get the league back to 3 at the top. But it's still not an easy title race to close out with Barcelona breathing down their neck, with that confidence booster and the Champions League to play for.
There's a couple things. First of all, I always forget his name and it's doing him an injustice. He's the greatest commentator in the history of sports.
Ray Hudson?
Is that his? Ray Hudson? I've never heard.
He's a verbal gymnast.
Even in the beginning, even the birds will stop to watch.
One of my favorites is when Messi scored. He's like, you could drop a tarantula in his pants and he'd still be cool and collective.
I mean, there was a point where Messi he had one arm.
Yes.
And look, I know it's the Messi pumping clip, whatever, and he got bloodied.
Yeah, he got bloodied.
But he woke him up. I actually thought it was good for him. I think it made him play with some more aggression, and for a little guy, it seems to make sense. There's a couple other things that was important that the commentators did point out, so I'm not going to take credit for it. Real Madrid's got Atletico Madrid later in the season.
Yes.
And they also pointed out that both these teams have pretty much nobody on the schedule that's fighting off relegation or has a chance at top 4, which means they have nothing to lose. They're going to gun for their win over Barcelona and Real Madrid. Of course, I think though that kind of goes for the whole table. Everybody wants a
Sometimes
piece of
you're a little scared of playing the relegation battles. I know in the Premier League as well, like those are easily some of the most dangerous teams to play at this time. But everyone at the end of the season, they're trying to finish your season out strong. So it's going to be a tough task. I think the Atletico game's big because they have to play them 3 times now. 3 times in like a month. Going to play them twice in the Champions League. So they might hit a little bit of a complacency area where they're kind of like, all right, what way do we play? Are we trying to fill them out for the Champions League? Because Real Madrid and Champions League just goes hand in hand. I think Zidane wants La Liga, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if you were to pose a question to him, does he want another Champions League first ever team to win it back-to-back, or does he want a La Liga?
Yeah, that would be a nice thing for his trophy cabinet. I have a question for you. Well, for one, I'm curious your thoughts about Ramos's red card. Was it a red card? Because it took the referee all of 5.5 seconds to go whoop.
Here's the thing. I'm going to double down on what I said when I was actually defending Real Madrid's win over Bayern Munich because Arturo Vidal won the ball for his second tackle. Referees know about these reputations. Sergio Ramos is as expected to be sent off as he is to score a last-minute header. These are traits of his game, and you got to be careful at times, especially when you go to ground. I think there's people that will automatically think, like, this is an era where everyone thinks it's super cool to do a slide challenge, and as soon as you do it and you win the ball, like, we're not in the golden era. I would have loved to. I don't think there's ever been a golden era in La Liga where you can be that physical. But the Premier League used to be a good tackle if you took the player and the ball. Now, if you touch the player, he's going to roll over. So, especially when you're Ramos and you've got that reputation, I mean, you can definitely break it down, but Real Madrid have had their fair share of decisions going in their favor. So
yeah, I think there was. What I didn't mention was the penalty that possibly could have been called, although both commentators saw it and said nothing there. It was a good sell.
Yeah.
But it could have gone either way. I figured because it was at the Bernabeu, maybe they would have given him a little more of a reason to. But then the other big question with the Ramos and Pique thing, because I was really drawn to this, and somebody tweeted in, so at Matthew_MUFC17, I think it was Manchester United. To answer your question, the El Clasico recap, the thing Ramos was pointing at was a row in the stands where a lot of politicians sit that get invited to the Bernabeu. Ramos and Pique, of course, have argued about politics before. It was a dig from Ramos to Pique. This all, according to the commentator, had the match, and he knows quite a lot about Spanish football. Is that who he was? Would that make sense at least in that?
I haven't seen much of it, but it would make sense to me because Ramos is a golden he's a golden child of Spain. Like he's a captain of Real Madrid, the most beloved team in the country. Barcelona, despite how dominant they are often like the outcasts from Spain. Like they're part of, as we know, Catalonia, and that whole debate as to whether they have to become separate or not. And I'm not going to get into the political side of it because I'm frankly naive on it. I know that Pique's been a strong advocate. Remember, he didn't wear his the Spain badge on his sleeve during when he played
the Euros.
Yeah, I think it might have been the Euros or it might have been before. But either way, there was a big controversy. So you got to think about it as Gerard Piqué is not a favourite amongst the Spanish loyals, those that really love their country and don't want to see someone try to take that away from them by separating a part of their country. But this is often the conversation: is like, can Real Madrid do no wrong? Are the referees going to be out to help them? The King of Spain, quite frankly, has his hands in their pockets. So, yeah, all that comes into it. And I think Ramos is just kind of trying to have a reminder, like, this is my domain, you know?
Well, yeah, he's pretty safe there, too. I mean, even after being sent off, like, they gave him a nice ovation for it.
It's part of his game, but it's sometimes, like, similar to Vidal, these players that you sometimes tackle first and think later, it can become detrimental to them. I mean, when they make the last-ditch tackle, it's the best thing you'll see, and it's talked about for a long time, but sometimes these players, they just get in their own heads too much, and they're always, Ramos, as I said, it's always a good bet to get him sent off in El Clasico.
Yeah, and he's had, and don't get me wrong, I think he's had one of the most brilliant seasons for a back four player in the world at the moment, and they mentioned, too, that so has Pique. I mean, these are they're very good at their jobs. Granted, the Ramos problem was that it affected the team so much because that was their only center back.
Yes.
Pepe's not available. He was injured. They have one more.
Nacho had to come in.
Nacho had to come in. I don't know why Zidane wanted to start Gareth Bale. He didn't look, like he just didn't look healthy. For a guy who's blindingly fast, he didn't look even close to it, and his touch was
He doesn't look as if he's enjoying himself at this moment, which could be worrying because when people are all like, oh, Asensio and Isco, these guys are so much more creative and better. Like, again, short memories. Gareth Bale had one of the best seasons he's had in his life last year. And again, he had these moments where people were questioning what he can do. When you get Gareth Bale on his day, you're going to use him. If you think, you can't judge what's going to happen in the future. If you have those that are around you saying that he's fit and ready to go and he's telling you he's fit, you're going to put him in. Sometimes it doesn't work out. That happens.
Right.
But I would never look to it, Gareth Bale's not going to fit in at Real Madrid anymore. Wait till Champions League football. Wait until these last stages.
Wait till he bails you out.
Yeah, exactly. Like last season's Champions League final. People need to relax. And I know football fans have all got short memory, but especially remember the Real Madrid fans were trying to attack Gareth Bale's car when he was leaving the stadium one game, and then they were celebrating him and bowing down after he scored that goal in the Champions League final. Come on.
Fans are fans. I was really impressed with Marcelo.
He's one of the best. He's arguably a good stake to be the best left back in the world right now. I thought he was phenomenal against Bayern Munich.
He puts. We haven't talked about even Rakitic's goal either, but Marcelo's left foot is a passing masterpiece.
Yeah.
It is. He sends those balls in with pinpoint perfection. He missed Ronaldo by just that much. He put in a ball that was just over Ronaldo's head. And my God, I always forget that he can get up like 45 inches in the air. Like he's an insane vertical leap for a guy.
You got to think about it. Like, yeah, these are all athletes, and you expect them to be able to do this without question. But he was up and down the field against Bayern Munich non-stop, put in one of the best shifts. Like, I'd love to see his mile coverage because he's up and down non-stop. And he does the exact same thing against Barcelona just a few days later. But yeah, it's sometimes in Marcelo's history, it could become detrimental to him. I think that Dani Alves, I wouldn't be surprised, had a little word in his ear because of Brazilian teammates and being like, maybe some of the practices, because when you get him on his day, his game has evolved. He used to be just an all-out attacking fullback, and he'd leave himself a little susceptible to a counter-attack, but now he's kind of squared that up a little bit, and I think he's been phenomenal. But we could go on all day about El Clasico.
No, I thought it was just like, I mean, it's funny doing the recap for that one because you just start saying things that you say, but I mentioned in the beginning, I was like, if you're looking for words like top bin or pitch, you've come to the wrong place. Like you're gonna have you're gonna have to survive with field.
Do you know how many comments? Do you know how many comments I've got on my Instagram photo recently, the pineapple photo, just where people have been like, sent here through Jason Rubin. Jason Rubin 91 sent me here, and it did not disappoint. Look, this one just popped up recently. It said, I get what at Jason Rubin 91 meant.
It's hashtag Pineapple Maxwell. Like, I mean, what can you want? And the funny thing is, normally where I always make fun of it, I'm not. I thought it was one of the most ridiculously awesome things I saw all weekend from the Coachella people.
You're welcome, Coachella.
Damn was the appropriate response.
Jesus. All right, let us know what you think. El Clasico, one of the best, could you say, in the last few years? Definitely up there, Lionel Messi. And one of the most notable celebrations, I would say, in recent times. What a game it was. So we had to bring it back and discuss again. But don't go anywhere. The title race will be going down to the wire, and we will cover it right here, TOT Sports.